Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So it's that time where I decided I would try and do another currently inked episode. So the idea is that basically I show off the pens I have currently inked in my collection. Now, over the course of the last month, I've been having lots of requests to try specific pens, to the point that I kept inking up more and more pens. And I took a lot to the pen club at the beginning of June, and it got to the point where I had way too many inked up, and every time I went to grab a pen, I just couldn't. It's almost like you have too much candy or too much, I don't know, something else that you really like, and you just cannot make your mind up. So I decided, you know what, let's have a cleaning exercise. So I cleaned out about 40 pens, and I had, I think, around 65 pens inked up. So I'm now down to 20 pens. So I thought I would show these off today. So these are the first 10 pens that I have currently inked. So some of these are inked because they are pens that I really like to write with. Others are because of the colour of the ink, or just because of the line width variation that they give. So I have this very large Visconti Speakeasy. Now, this is a pen that I have been writing with quite a bit since I actually acquired it. About a month and a half, 2 months ago. And this is a really nice pen. It is a massive pen though, because you can see if I unscrew the cap here, you'll see just how large, how chunky it is. It's like a marker pen, but I do like it. It's a really nice weighted pen. I like heavier pens. I like longer pens, and for me, this is a nice pen. Although the diameter of the body there does actually flare out more to be like a marker, but the section is actually a lot thinner. So this is a pen that I have inked up a lot, and I have it currently inked up with Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. And this one also is a pen that has been inked up ever since I got it. And again, it was a couple of months ago. And this is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. And this is a solid silver cap with a marble body and a silver power vac or filling knob. And this is a lovely pen. Again, very heavy. I think it comes in, around 70 grams. And you can see here the section is silver as well. So it is a very weighty pen, but it's a really nice pen, and it's a pen I really do like to write with. I did do a little bit of work on the tines to just increase the wet flow a little bit. It was a little bit too dry for my liking. It now writes really well. So this is a 23 carat medium nib. The Speakeasy also has a medium nib 23 carat palladium as well. Now this one is inked up with Visconti Burgundy, and I don't know, there may be another ink that I might try to match with that, but I thought the Burgundy goes quite nicely with that marble, so I thought I would ink it up with a red ink, or more of a darker Burgundy type ink. And another one that I think has only been uninked once since I got it, and this is the Visconti Luxor. And this, for me, is a lovely pen. All these Egyptian hieroglyphs on the pen, it's just an absolute stunner, as you can see here. And this is the Visconti Luxor. This VAR symbol is etched in gold. It's Urushi lacquered. It's got 6 layers of lacquer on it over the maquillé there. And this, again, it's a medium nib, but I do like it. It has an ink window there as well. And it's quite a light pen, actually. A lot lighter than the first 2 pens. So I tend to use this for more longer writing sessions. Like, I will typically, if I'm writing letters to pen pals, I will write one page of A4 with one pen, and then the next page with another pen. So the weight really on these, like the first two pens here, the Speakeasy and the Medici or Magnifico, really doesn't bother me that much in terms of hand fatigue. But if I were to write 4 or 6 pages of A4 continuously, then they would probably get pretty heavy on my hand. But this pen I really do like. It's a really good size. I do not post it because of the Macchie and the Urushi lacquer on it. So I'm not a pen poster. I do not post most of my caps. The Visconti Opfer Silver Dust is another lovely pen, and this is, if I show you here, you'll see the silver aspects, the silver dust going through the pen body there. This is again a nice pen. I do like it. It's got a 1.3mm stub on. It's inked up with Mont Blanc Oyster Grey, and that's a lovely wet ink. The nib writes very, very wet, and I do love this pen. The only gripe that I have about the pen is that it feels a little bit light, and I kind of wish that they had made this as a Homo Sapiens and not an Opfer. I think if they had made it as a Homo Sapiens, I think it would have been perfect. I would really love to have seen that as a Homo Sapiens, but you can't win them all. But it's a nice pen. It's a little bit thinner. It does taper down even thinner at the end, but it is for me it's a nice pen and a very, very wet writer. The Luxor, by the way, is inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Konpeki. Now there's this one, which is the Visconti Belgica. Now the Belgica is a gold overlay pen, and it's to symbolise the nationalisation of Belgium. And again, this is another limited edition, and if I unscrew this, you'll see here, this has an 18 karat gold nib, and this is really nice. And I prefer the golden nibs over the palladium nibs, and to be honest, like, I find the gold nibs from Visconti, when they had them on pens, were more reliable, more wetter, more smoother, and just overall a more pleasant sort of writing experience. There's nothing wrong with the 23 karat palladium nibs, but still, I prefer the gold nibs, and I'm not alone there. I know lots of other people. I know Stephen Brown, Aziza, and others have all said exactly the same thing. So, but this is a nice pen. Now, this is inked up with Akamon Cerulean Blur, and that is a pen that gets used quite a lot as well. Now, one of the pens I really do like in my collection, I think this was one of these pens that was a little bit of a sort of, I don't want to say gamble. It was more of a sort of like a one-off, sort of like, I'm going to get this type thing, and there was no forethought or planning into whether or not I would have this pen or not. I guess, to be honest, that happens to a lot of my pens, but this pen especially. But this is a lovely pen, and I had other Divinas. This is a Visconti Divina Elegance, and this is the green version. The difference with this is that it has a rose gold trim on it. These, what would normally be silver bars, are rose gold plated, I believe, and the trim is rose gold, and the nib as well is a rose gold nib, and you can see there. And I love the Divinas. They are long. They're light. The only downside with Divinas is that they do not hold a huge ink capacity. They only hold a cartridge converter, because this is a captured filling knob or captured converter. So that's one of the downsides with Divinas. So I tend to go through them pretty quickly, and it's also difficult to maybe get a full fill out of it as well. Unless you're using, like, I tend to try and fill a lot of these pens now with my Visconti travelling ink rolls, and maybe I'll show you a few of those in a little bit. So that's another pen that I have inked up, and that I have inked up with a Diamine Meadow, which is a lovely bright grass green. This pen I have inked up. Now, this pen is a pen that typically I tend to, at the moment, only use for envelope writing, and because it's got a permanent black in, so because it's also a dark age, I've put a black ink in there. It's got a black trim or black ruthenium nib there. Again, it's a really lovely pen, but I tend not to do a lot of writing. I'm not a black ink writer, so for me, and this, it's not I guess it's not a black ink I've got in here. It's Pilot of Roshizuku Kirisami, so it's really more of a dark grey ink, but it comes out as almost black, so I tend to use this for writing envelopes because it's one of these inks that is pretty waterproof. And then, of course, there is the Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog. Now, I try to unink this and I try to flush it out quite regularly because it is a demonstrator, but I always find I ink it back up again because I've got I swapped the nib out from the fine nib I had to a 1.3 millimeter stub, and I love this nib. It's juicy wet, it's nice and smooth, and it really, really is a lovely nib to write with. And it has a huge capacity of ink. It's 2.5 milliliters of ink. So that is inked up with Diamine Earl Grey at the moment. I used to ink that up with Konpeki or Waterman Florida Blue or Inspired Blue, but I think probably for about the last 6 months it's actually had Diamine Earl Grey in it. And I tend to, in a lot of cases, I do tend to find an ink that I like, and I tend to stick with it in a pen. I don't tend to like swap the inks around too much when I get an ink that I like in a pen. So the next pen I have here is and this is a mouthful. This is the Visconti Cali Palacio di Sassuolo, and probably haven't pronounced that right, but this, again, it's a lovely, lovely stunning pen in this yellow dawn finish there in the cap, and you have the lovely palace inscribed in gold there on the barrel, and this is a Paravac filler. It's really I'd say probably there's, in terms of the Paravac fillers from Visconti, there are probably what I would call 3 generations. The third generation is the current model that you see in like the Homo Sapiens, the Opfer Masters. There was an earlier, the first gen, where you had to unscrew the body to activate the Paravac, and then there's this one where you have the knob on here that you unscrew to engage the Paravac and move the Paravac rod through the body. But the section, I'll show you here, the body here, if I zoom in a little bit, maybe you'll be able to see it here. The body here, so you've got the threads here for the cap, and you have the section, and then there's this metal band here. Now this, right here, this unscrews. So that's what I would call probably the second gen of Paravac. And actually, I like that. It actually makes it easy to clean. The only problem is you have to grease the threads here, and there's an O-ring as well, just to make sure it doesn't leak out of there. But once you have it greased up, it's a lovely pen, and I really, really do like that pen. So for me, I was glad I was able to pick this pen up when I did. And then there also is my very trusty old Visconti Corsani 90, and you can see why I like this pen. The stacked celluloid on it is wonderful. And like this also has this came with a medium nib initially, and I had it swapped out for a 1.3mm stub, and this is juicy wet as well, so and smooth. So I love writing with this, and this pen is always inked up with Diamine Majestic Purple, because again it's an ink that I absolutely love, and because it's a dark ink, like I tend to like to match ink colours to pens, and it's mostly a black pen with a bit of silver, but I feel that I can get away with actually putting any colour ink in here I want to, so I tend to put the Majestic Purple in there. So here are 7 inkwells that I have here. Now some of these I got with the pens, like this one here, the silver tipped one, came with a pen, so did this one, and this one. I think that's probably all that came with pens. So this one I have inked up with Franklin Christoph Sweet Maroon, and you'll see if I slosh the ink away, there's a little bit of ink in there at the moment. And that was a sample that I got from Gary at our pen club, and since then I've actually bought a bottle. There's this one which is Franklin Christoph Spanish Blue, and this is a lovely blue. It's almost a little bit like Compeki. So I have a sample here. I think I've got probably about 2.5 milliliters left. I will have to buy a bottle of that, I think. It's a really nice ink. Then I have Lamy Turquoise, and I fill my Pelican M600 Turquoise White up with that one. And then I have, this one is Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red, and you see it sort of sloshing around in there. So that's another ink. So I ink up my Speakeasy from that one. And then this came with my Visconti Palacio, or Cali Palacio di Sassuolo, and this is lovely ink, inkwell. Doesn't have any ink in it at the moment, so that is actually ink free. And then there's this one, and again I did have some ink in here, but I've cleaned it out. So that one's ink free, and so's this one as well. And this one came with the Brunelleschi. Now, just one thing to mention: one of my early inkwells, I actually had crack. So, and this cracked, I think it was about October 2017. And so what I've done here, and because these are plastic, these are plastic here, they will crack over time, because you have to forcibly push your pen into here, the pen section. So I actually superglued it, and superglued the crack, got as much superglue in there as I could, and then I've actually stuck some tape round here, or just as an extra proof as well. And so far I'm not using this one for power vac fillers, so I'm really only using this one for filling pens that are cartridge converters or pistons, but so far it's held up. So if you ever find that you get a crack here in your travelling inkwell, then that's an easy remedy that you could do if you can't get it replaced. The newer inkwells actually come with a metal section here, so hopefully that should reduce the chance of it cracking. But I thought I would show you those anyway, because I do ink up a lot of my pens with those. Now onto the next 10 pens, so I guess 11 to 20. So there's a couple of new pens that I got into my collection recently. This was, or is, the Omas Malord, and it's in the Arco Brown. I actually have this inked up with Franklin Christoph Spanish Blue at the moment. I also got this one at the same time, which is a Omas Extra Paragon in the Arco Brown, and I have that inked up with Franklin Christoph Sweet Maroon. Both of those are piston fillers. I also got an Opus 88 in the last month, and I absolutely love this pen. The pen holds around 2.5 to 3 milliliters of ink. It's an eyedropper pen, but it is really, really nice. And I have Diamine Matador inked up in this at the moment. Now, you do have to grease the threads to create a seal there, even though there is an O-ring. And the only issues I've had with this pen is that I have found that these threads are very, very squeaky. Now, you cannot hear anything there now. And the reason why is I've actually greased every single thread with silicone grease. And so if you get one of these and you think, oh god, this is screeching, it's like a mouse squeaking, do that, it will fix it, no problem whatsoever. So that is a pen that I've been writing with a lot lately, and I've had to refill. The other one is my Atelier Lusso Carina from Eric, and this is a lovely, lovely, stunning pen. I really love this pattern in it. I love everything about this pen. I actually bought two pens. I bought this pen, and I bought the Andromeda as well from Eric. And I like them so much that I've actually had another 6 pens commissioned from Eric that he's going to be working on shortly. So I really do like Eric's work, the workmanship on these pens. They are really, really good. So for this, I really do like it. And so this is, I believe, inked up with Franklin Christoph Spanish Blue. And the Andromeda here is inked up with Blackstone Barrier Reef, which is a really good sheener. And you'll see here that these both come with steel nibs. They're both broad nibs, but these are really, really lovely pens. And I can't wait to see the other pens I have coming from Eric in the near future. Another pen that I actually really love, and I don't like black pens, and like just standard black pens with gold trim or silver trim. But this is a pen I really do like. So this is a Sailor 1911 large, but it's the Naginata Togi version. And I find this is a brilliant nib. See if I can get a shot of this. There you go. You can see there, it's basically like a architect grind. So it's wider cross strokes, thinner down strokes. And I love this nib. And I have this inked up with Franklin Christoph Sweet Maroon. And this is another ink that I've fallen in love with recently. And it's actually quite strange ink because it actually lays down quite a light colour on the page. But then when it dries, it goes quite dark. And I don't think I've had any other inks like that. So that's an interesting one. But I do like the ink. Now, I also have this Pelikan M800 Grand Plus. And again, this is a lovely pen. I got this a couple of months ago. I do like M800s, I do like broads, and I was really glad when I found out that this pen had a broad nib on it. So I really, really do like that. And M800s I find are almost a perfect size and a perfect weight as well. And they hold a fairly decent amount of ink. So this is a pen that I really, really do love. So that's been getting a lot of writing time. Now, this one hasn't been getting a lot of writing time, and to be honest, I don't know why. I'm going to try and write with it more this week. This is the M800 Royal Gold Varden, and I love this pen, and I love the ink in it. It's inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Inaho, and that is a gold ink, and it's a beautiful ink. And I think it's probably because it's kind of like sort of like if you like a food or like a meal, say, I don't know, maybe a curry or fish and chips, and you have it for 5 days a week. By the end of the week, you're actually getting a bit bored with it, and you get to the point where you don't want it again for maybe 2, 3, or 4 weeks. And I think this is probably the case with this pen. I love the pen, I love the ink, but I had been writing a lot with it recently, in the last month. So I haven't really, it's been inked up, but I've not really written with it. So I need to write with this, or I need to clean it, and I'm going to write with it. So I've made that decision. So And this is a problem with having too many pens inked up, is that you have too many inked up, you just never write with them. Now, I have been actually running with two very special pens, and these are the Pilot Custom 823s, and I know you're going to say, well, what's special about a Pilot Custom 823? Well, there's something very special about these, both of these. I actually have three, and they all have the FA nib on them. And this is an extra fine nib, which is semi-flexible, and actually will give you, it's actually probably one of the best, I would say one of the best modern flex nibs that I have experienced to date. It's really, really nice, and you do get a lot of nib creep on the nib on these, but it also holds around about 2 milliliters, I think, of ink, and this is inked up with Pilot Washizuku Satsuji, and it's a lovely pink ink, and hopefully you can maybe see that pink swirling around inside it. And this is the clear version. I actually have three 823 FAs. I have the clear, the brown, and the clear, the black, and the amber. This is the clear one, and then I have this black one, which is inked up with Pilot Washizuku Kon Peki. And so this is again another FA nib. Really nice. So I've been writing some letters with these pens, and alternating each page between blue and pink, and I think the letters look really nice. So that's about it, really. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.